Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 13. Rahugana converses with Jada Bharat. Text number 7. Shuraihrtasva kvacha nirvinna cheta Shochan vimuhyan upayati kashmalam Kvachiccha gandharva puram pravishtaha Pramodate nivrittavan muhurtam Shuraihrtasva kvacha nirvinna cheta Shochan vimuhyam upayati kashmalan Kvachiccha gandharva puram pravishtaha Pramodate nivrittavan muhurtam Shuraihrtasva kvacha nirvinna cheta Shochan vimuhyan upayati kashmalam Kvachiccha gandharva puram pravishtaha Pramodate nivrittavan muhurtam Shuraihrtasva kvacha nirvinna cheta Shochan vimuhyan upayati kashmalam Kvachiccha gandharva puram pravishtaha pramodate nivrittavan muhurtam. Shure hritasva kvacha nirvinna cheta. Sochan vimuhyan upayati kashmalam. Sachitrananda Saha. Pramodate nivrittavan muhurtam. Shure hritasva kvacha nirvinna cheta. Sochan vimutyan hridayadi kashmalam. Chitta gandharva purana krishtaha. Modate nivrittavan muhurtam. Word to word meaning: Shuraihi, by very powerful enemies. Hritaswaha, all of whose possessions have been stolen. Kvacha, sometimes. Nirvinna chetaha, very morose and aggrieved at heart. Shochan, deeply lamenting. Vimuhyan, becoming bewildered. Upayati, achieves. Kashmalam, unconsciousness. Kvachit, sometimes. Cha, also. Gandharvapuram, an imaginary city in the forest. Pravishtaha, having entered. Pramodate, he enjoys. Nirvritavat, exactly like a person who has achieved success. Muhurtam, for a moment only. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: sometimes being defeated or plundered by a superior powerful agent, a living entity loses all his possessions. He then becomes very morose, and lamenting their loss, he sometimes becomes unconscious. Sometimes he imagines a great palatial city in which he desires to live happily with his family members and riches. He thinks himself fully satisfied if this is possible. But such so-called happiness continues only for a moment. Purport: the word Gandharvapuram is very significant in this verse. Sometimes in the forest a very big castle appears, and this is called a castle in the air. Actually, this castle does not exist anywhere but in one's imagination. This is called Gandharvapura. In the material forest, the conditioned soul sometimes contemplates great castles and skyscrapers, and he wastes his energy for such things, hoping to live in them very peacefully with his family forever. However, the laws of nature do not allow this. When he enters such castles, he temporarily thinks that he is very happy, even though his happiness is impermanent. His happiness may last for a few years, but because the owner of the castle has to leave the castle at the time of death, everything is eventually lost. This is the way of worldly transactions. Such happiness is described by Vidyapati as the happiness one derives upon seeing a drop of water in the desert. The desert is heated by scorching sunshine, and if we want to reduce the desert temperature, we need huge amounts of water, millions and billions of gallons. What effect will one drop have? Water certainly has value, but one drop of water cannot reduce the heat of the desert. In this material world, everyone is ambitious, but the heat is very scorching. What will an imaginary castle in the air do to help? Srila Vidyapati has therefore sung, Tatala Saikate Vari Bindu Sama Sutamita Ramani Samaje. The happiness of family life, friends and society is compared to a drop of water in the scorching desert. The entire material world is busy trying to attain happiness, because happiness is the prerogative of the living being. Unfortunately, due to falling in contact with the material world, the living entity simply struggles for existence. Even if one becomes happy for a while, a very powerful enemy may plunder everything. There are many instances in which big businessmen suddenly becomes pauper in the street. Yet, the nature of material existence is such that foolish people are attracted to these transactions and they forget the real business of self-realization. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsya Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Vishwaram. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for once again giving me this opportunity to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam and purify myself. So every class, whatever we may discuss, sometimes I may speak something which is more elaborate, beyond my realizations, beyond my authority. But whatever I heard, whatever is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, what is given by Srila Prabhupada, I just put forward. So it will benefit me. So I try my best to preach to my mind itself, to learn myself. So seeking blessings and prayers of all of you so that I can do the service nicely. So we'll read the translation once again. Sometimes being defeated or plundered by a superior, powerful agent, a living entity loses all his possessions. He then becomes very morose and lamenting their loss. He sometimes becomes unconscious. Sometimes he imagines a great palatial city in which he desires to live happily with his family members and riches. He thinks himself fully satisfied if this is possible, but such so-called happiness continues only for a moment. However, I couldn't prepare much, so try to see how much we can be possible. So a reminder, every single Bhagavatam class, to remind ourselves about our constitutional position, that we are part and parcels of Krishna and we are meant to render service to Krishna and not to enjoy in this material world, being struggled again and again. So this is the same theme, continues the whole Bhagavatam from Canto 1 to Canto 12. How this material world is a struggle for existence. It's not a place for a sane person to live in this material world. And these particular two chapters, Canto 5, chapter 13 and 14, clearly describes this with a beautiful metaphors or allegorical stories. So Bhagavatam gives this metaphors number of times to understand us better, to make us understand better how this world is completely full of miseries. One metaphor we already seen in Prachina Barhi story, how Narada Muni comes, so he's trying his best to tell Prachina Barhi, this is not the right way. So you have to come out of this material world and be happy in the devotion service. So he's not hearing again and again. So he gives finally one allegorical story, one figurative story to make him understand. Then after telling the story, then he'll realize, yes, this is not the time. So it's the time to leave the whole thing, and then he left. So same situation here also. Jadabharat is instructing Maharaj Raghugana. So till I think last 2-3 chapters, same thing again and again is discussing. Finally he's now Jadabharat is using the Brahmastra as a figurative story. So then similar kind of figurative stories are explained again and again in Srimad Bhagavatam. So why? What is the reason? Because as a materially conditioned soul, it's very difficult to take the things, to digest the stuff of the Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever is given. So this same thing, repetition is made again and again and again and again, so that something will go in the ear and take it seriously. So that's why it's called, right, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. All the time we have to hear and read Bhagavatam. Especially not read, study Bhagavatam. So what is given actually in Bhagavatam, what to realize. The same case even with all the other devotional activities, especially for chanting also in the morning. It's a struggle or the war between the Mahamantra and the mind. So Gurujan Prabhu number of times he says, at least one Mahamantra, one Mahamantra. So you can hear at least one Mahamantra, and after that again battle starts between Mahamantra and the mind. So when we try number of times after maybe few decades or years, that solid attachment to the holy name comes. And then actually purification starts and will be purified. So why this material world is described as forest of material existence. So one devotee is telling, who has already experienced this, so is telling, when we go to the forest and we see the whole around, everything in the forest, we can see that each and every living entity in the forest, the millions of creatures in the forest. So every creature is very, very, very busy in struggling for existence, very, very busy. Some birds or snakes trying to get some food, means the whole thing is completely miserable. It's miserable. The forest is miserable. Forest life is miserable. But obviously saints go to render service or to practice austerity in the forest, because that is in the mode of goodness comparing to the cities and the towns and villages. So that is one of the reason. But one essence is that the whole material world is completely miserable. The forests are like this. Every living creature is suffering a lot to get some food and live. And we can see in our day-to-day life, every day we can see in the morning, we can see the birds, pigeons, all the time fearful to get some food. They'll eat one morsel and looks at if someone is trying to kill me. Miserable, fear. The same case with each and every living entity also. So that's why the forest, the material world is compared to the the forest fire. Even the another good important thing is that even other religions emphasize this world is completely miserable. For example, Buddhism if you take, so they follow nirvana. Nirvana means, nir means we have to live, vana means forest. This material world is a forest fire, just leave this. That's why they tell, right, there is no existence of spirit soul. It's just a body is made up of material elements, and the whole life is just miserable. Just leave this and go to forest and do austerities. So this is a nice thing to understand. Even other religions also understand this material world is completely full of miseries. And especially these particular verses which we are reading, it's completely pointing out to the spirit soul how it's very difficult to exist in this material world, and especially pointing to the householders, how a man enters a householder life and struggles the whole life. So these verses encourages for the renunciants to remain in the ashram only, not to enter in the grihastha life. Be safe in the brahmachari life and practice bhakti nicely. And still these verses again and again repeat that there is no happiness. But still the spirit soul is Anandamaya Abhyasa, always hankering for some happiness. So without happiness, it cannot live. But it's trying to get happiness in a wrong place. That is in the material, miserable world. So happiness in the material world is compared to like this. The body of a snake is very, very cool. And a person thinks his body is very hot. So if I have this cooling snake on the body, it will be helpful. He may take the snake and rope. He may have like a garland about the snake on his body. But what happens? These venomous snakes kill that person, whoever takes it. So similarly, this sense gratification or the material disease, whatever there, for a spiritualist completely. So when he engages after practicing bhakti, once again, if he engages in this material sense gratification, this sense gratification will kill the spiritual identity of that spiritualist. So this is a statement given by Prabhupada in Elevation to Krishna Consciousness book. There it is. So if a spiritualist once again enters in material sense gratification, then he will lose his spiritual identity. Basically, he will reduce his taste in devotion service. Again, he'll go back to the material world. So there is no less, this senses are known as the killing agents of a spiritualist. So it's, where we chant Mahaprasade Govinde, this term comes. Jada Indriya Tahekal. These material senses are like serpents that kill the spiritual life of a person. So you have the famous examples how these material senses are very, very dangerous. They are like killing agents for a spiritualist. All the five senses we have. So we have the tongue. The example is given of a fish. How the fish is always wants to eat some food, whatever. But a fisherman comes and puts some bait, some worm in the water. And he couldn't see the hook. He cannot see the hook. He just see only the worm. We have a Sayatmika Buddhi. It goes and catches the worm. What happens? He'll be killed by the fisherman. Because of this tongue, the sense of tongue, the fish is killed. And later, through the vision, the moth, the insects which are there, they want to see something glazing things, some beautiful things. And they look at the fire, it's very blazing, it's giving very nice light. And because of this, what happens? They enter, they want to experience that light. And then enters the fire. And finally vanquished. And next, ear. Example is deer. So deer wants to hear beautiful music, nice things. And hunter knows this very nicely. So he plays the flute very nicely. So the deer hears this. And he wants to hear again and again. And keeps on hearing and stays at the particular place. And hunter uses his time and kills the deer, hunts the deer. And this is how deer, by the sense of hearing or the hear, because of sense of hear, he will be devastated. And next, smell. Honeybees. So they want to smell the honey. They come into the lotus flower and they want to drink or smell that lotus. But that flower closes and honeybee also dies. Just because of one sense of smell, that is nose. And touch, elephant. And we know how nicely these circus people will catch the elephants to train. They train the female elephant very nicely to allure or to seduce the male elephant. So female elephant comes in front of the male elephant and male elephant goes behind the female elephant. And there will be a ditch which is covered. And female elephant so intelligently goes till there and takes the strike, sideways, diversion. And male elephant don't know this and goes and falls into the ditch. And he feels there is in the forest, there is no one. He calls out for help. For many days, no food will be given. Finally, these people will come and give some food. Day after day, like this. And this elephant feels, oh, these are the people who are saving me. And he feels these people are saving me, so I have to serve them. They come into the constitutive position, I have to serve them. They are the same personalities. And in this way, this male elephant is kept in illusion. And the elephant will be removed by these people. And whatever they say, this elephant does. So this is how all the particular senses are very, very difficult for one particular animal, as an example we have seen. But the human life is very dangerous, even more dangerous, because all the senses we have, and all the senses are very, very dangerous for a human form of life. Here we have seen One living entity, one animal is dying because of one sense. But we human beings have all the senses are very, very strong. Not one sense. All the senses are very strong. So Krishna also says, so our mind is just like this. If our mind is attracted to one particular sense object, it drives us away. It drives the living entity away. So just like how a continuous river flow is driving the boat away, similarly, if a mind is attached to even to one particular sense object, the mind will drive it away by the external energy of Maya. And the whole goal of life to attain Krishna, everything will be lost. Everything will be lost, even for a sincere spiritualist. So after understanding this material sense gratification is only death. So a sane person should be ambitious now to think this material, there is no actual happiness. The actual happiness is there in the spiritual world or in the devotional service of the Lord. So you should search where the real happiness is there. Starts his inquisitiveness. So to understand what is the real happiness, you should know what is, you should have experienced what is that real happiness is. But in this material world, there is some misunderstanding. So there is a lot of difference between the sugar cane and a bamboo stick. Prabhupada gives this example in the same book. So a person is asking what the real happiness is, how it will be like. A person is asking who never tasted sugar cane, he is asking how the sugar cane will be. The other person is telling the sugar cane will be similar to that of a bamboo stick. Structure is same, similar. So he thought, oh, sugar cane must be bamboo stick. So he goes to the bamboo stick and tries to taste it. Finally gets bewildered. No happiness, no taste in it. So similar case in the material world also. Thinking that happiness in the material world is something like this because of that confusion. But actually what is the real happiness? As all of us know, that sloka comes in 126 Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme dharma, paro dharma, the supreme dharma of humanity is to render devotional service to the Lord. That adokshaja. And how to render? Ahaituki apratihata. Unmotivated and uninterrupted. So when a spirit soul does this devotional service without any motive and continuously, constantly, only then a spirit soul will be completely satisfied. And there is no other option for complete satisfaction of the heart. In the next two slokas later, Prabhupada writes in the purport 1 to 8. So where he says, the hankering soul must be satisfied by the perfect scientific process of perfect devotional service. So what is the scientific process? What is the meaning of science? Science means that's an entity so which is applicable at all circumstances, at all places, for all people. The present modern science is something always different. In future we'll change, we'll implement, we'll enhance, so and so things. That is not actually science. The actual science means it should be applicable all the time, all the circumstances, for everyone. So this devotional service is something like this. This devotional process is something like this. It is applicable for everyone. So all the spirit souls will be satisfied only when we render devotional service to the Lord. So this is science. So Prabhupada gives the example, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. So it will not be 5. This is science. We cannot change it. In America, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. In Bangalore, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. So this is science. It will not be changing. So same with case of all of us, as living entities, we have to render pure devotional service to the Lord. Only then one can be completely happy. So what is the definition of pure devotional service? Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena Krishna sheelanam bhakti ruttama. When first class devotional service develops, the translation goes like this. One must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy, and fruitive action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. So this is the definition of pure devotional service. But it's taking the case of all of us renunciants. So many things we have left, but still many things are left in the heart. Material desires. The gross stuffs we are almost left, but the subtle things are still there in the mind. So trying to contemplate on this particular stuff as a renunciant. What's the difference between the outsiders and the renunciants? The main difficulty is puja, lava, pratishta. For myself at least, I'm trying to meditate and how to come out of this. So this is the material desire which generally, as we generally we have. So it's to remove this false ego or pride, it's very, 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 very difficult. So this is also one of the tricks of Maya, to trick a living entity, keep the living entity forever in this material world. I was just thinking, so my meditation from past few days. So even Prabhupada says, right, even a small tinge of material thing will keep us in the material world. Even a small tinge of material desire. I was thinking of that wheelchair. That wheelchair is very nice to sit, very nicely. I was thinking, means I'm getting attached to that wheelchair also to sit nicely. So even this is enough to make us remain in this material world. So one should be very, very cautious, even the small thing or a big thing. So to what I am being attached to. If I am getting attached, immediately you have to remove that attachment somehow or the other. But how can we remove this attachment, material attachments? Only when I get the attachment to Krishna. So living entity is all the time attached, either to attach to Maya or attached to Krishna. So we should be attached. We should be either rendering service to Maya or rendering service to Krishna. So instead of serving Maya, why not we render service to Krishna? But even while rendering devotional service to Krishna also, still Maya attacks. So some devotee was famously telling, so Maya is there even in the altar of Krishna. A pujari may be doing all the deity worship very nicely, but where the mind is thinking about something else. So Maya is there everywhere. But how to get out of this trap of Maya? It's very, very, very difficult. Very, very difficult, especially for the renunciants. Especially for the renunciants. Grossly we left, but still that subtle sex is still there. I want to do some particular devotion service, but behind there is a motive. If I do this particular service, I get name, fame, devotees will glorify. So when Prabhuji comes and goes, Shabash, very nice service. I need that satisfaction. So that is what Anya Abhilashta. There is no material motive, unmotivated devotion service. There is no motivation behind any devotion service what we are rendering. So this needs a lot of practice. It's just not like this. The whole many lifetimes you are doing the same thing again and again. Doing some activity, want to get some result behind it. But how to remove this tendency of having some motive behind? Actually understand the philosophy, we can be happy only by this. So one thing is actually understand the philosophy. So that's why you have to do Nityam Bhagavata Seva, studying the same purpose again and again and again and again. Why Prabhupada is telling again and again the same thing? There is no difference. Prabhupada lectures also same thing. So we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. We can be happy only when we render devotional service to the Lord. Same thing again and again is repeated. Why is repeated? Actual knowledge we all know very nicely. Knowledge is known theoretically. But practically to practice, we need to read again and again. And most importantly, we need realization. So when realization is missing, that is where the difficulty is. Theoretically knows, but to get the realization, we need the mercy of the Lord. So that is the thing. So we are reading Bhagavatam, right? So in the first canto especially, so number of times Prabhupada writes, only by the grace of the Lord, only by the grace of the Lord, only by the grace of the Lord. So nothing is possible. Only by the grace of the Lord, only living entity also can come out of this material world, from these clutches of Maya. But to get the grace of the Lord, to get the mercy of the Lord, we have to show to the Lord, oh Lord, I want you. I want your mercy. So we have to put some endeavor. To endeavor to get the mercy of the Lord. So what is our endeavor? Doing whatever devotional activities we are doing very nicely and with a proper consciousness to please the Lord. To please the Lord. The whole thing is, the whole devotional activities, the whole day we are doing. We are all the time, uninterruptedly we are engaging in devotional service, 24 hours. There is nothing else. Even though we are sleeping, why we are sleeping? So that the body will be taking rest, so that I can engage the next day in devotional service nicely. That is also in this way. The sleeping is also devotional service. So 24 hours we are engaging in the devotional service as a renunciance. But the point is how consciously I am engaging in the devotional service. While rendering the service, am I doing for the pleasure of myself or for the pleasure of the Lord? Or for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna? So this is the definition of a ashram life, what Narada Muni gives in the 7th canto. So brahmachari means, or Gurukul student means, he is living in the ashram and not working for anything, living in the ashram for the pleasure of the Guru. For the pleasure of the Guru. So when one does this, automatically mind will be controlled. Now mind is a problem. So one lives for the pleasure of the Lord and the Guru, automatically mind comes to control. So what Guru wants? All the time we being engaged in the service of the Lord. That is on the one part. And there it's not the end. And more deeper, how consciously are we rendering the devotional service? The whole thing depends on the consciousness. What consciousness is there while we are rendering the service? That's why our society name is International Society for Krishna Consciousness, not even God consciousness. Some devotee gave the suggestion to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, why Krishna? Let's include God. It's so that everyone can come to our consciousness. No, Prabhupada, no, only Krishna. Krishna is God, so our society name should be Krishna Consciousness and nothing else. The whole practice of devotion service we are doing just to change our consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. The whole activities of the whole day also can be in this way only. So trying to change our consciousness from material to spiritual. The whole day, starting with Mangalarti. In the morning only we have got nicely trained. After we wake up, we pray to the Lord. Oh Lord, so one more day I got it for rendering your service. So thank you very much. Having some gratitude to the Lord. Oh Lord, thank you. One more day I got it. Last night only I had left my life. After sleeping, we don't know what's going on in the dreams. Only after 3:40, 3:50, alarm wakes up. Alarm will be no, then we'll wake up. Yes, Mangalarti time is going. We have to get ready. Bathroom also busy. Let me sleep for 10 more minutes. The whole consciousness starts at that time. So at that time also we trained that we have to pray to the Lord. Oh Lord, one more day you have given to me to render service, to get closer to you. Please help me. So the morning prayer can start by serving the Lord. And offering this prayer is also service to the Lord, because Lord will be pleased. The service to the Lord means what? So the whole thing is the Lord should be pleased. Even when after immediately waking up, showing that gratitude, thanking the Lord is also service to the Lord. And trying to come on time for Mangalarti. If I come on time for Mangalarti, our superiors will be pleased. And next level of giving pleasure to Guru means being attentive in the Mangalarti. As we discussed the whole Guru Ashtakam in a few days back. How we can be attentive in doing Mangalarti, Guru Ashtakam and Tulsi prayers, Narsimharti. So if we can be attentive, understanding the meaning of each and every prayer, that's very, very effective. Very, very effective. If not, as usual, as the previous days, same thing again. And later, after hearing the Guru Puja, all the wonderful activities in the morning program, and then starts chanting. So Prabhuji very nicely helping us by doing various videos, how to increase our quality of chanting every single day. So you can watch those videos and start chanting. So one of the important thing as devotional service, we want to be a servant. Even before chanting also we can have this mood. Oh Lord, this is your holy name. I am getting in touch with you. So when I get in touch with you, I will be purified. When I will be purified, you will be pleased. So I am rendering this chanting process only for your pleasure. You please help me. I don't know how to chant. I know the mantra, Hare Krishna, 16 words. Every day I am doing the same thing, 16 times, 16 rounds again and again. But I am not feeling that pleasure, satisfaction in the heart. Because while chanting also I am the master. I want to finish 16 rounds, I go to other service, vagera, vagera. So there is no question of service attitude even in chanting also. So when I have this service attitude, oh Lord, to please you, I want to chant. To please Guru, to please Srila Prabhupada, I want to chant. So when we have this service attitude, even that chanting, even though we are not able to hear the mantra, still that satisfaction comes. Praying to the Lord, praying to Guru, I want to please you, that's why I'm chanting. Then when they're pleased with our prayers, then they'll give the hearing capacity to hear the mantra. And when we are able to hear, then we can offer to the gratitude to the Lord and Guru. Oh Lord, oh Guru, thank you very much for your pleasure I chanted, and you empowered me to hear one mantra. Thank you. And again we start another round. One more mantra I want to hear. So when I'm able to hear very nicely, thank you Lord, thank you Guru for you helping me. So offering thanks, getting the mercy. Offering thanks, getting the mercy. Offering thanks, getting the mercy. The whole chanting process also can be a service to the Lord. And later, attending Guru Puja. So you're glorifying Srila Prabhupada, the whole Prana Mantra, and praying to Srila Prabhupada. Aha Prabhu, what is the list? Aha Prabhu Doya, Korodaya, Deho More Padachaya. So, oh Prabhupada, we are describing the whole Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. So your lotus feet, you yourself, is not different from devotional service. You are a servant of the Lord. I am serving you. So the whole Guru Puja is also there, same thing. So if you can meditate on the words, the meaning, it's very, very, very effective. The consciousness changes. All the time myself, at least Guru Puja, I wait for Guru Puja to dance to satisfy myself, not to satisfy Srila Prabhupada, the superiors. So obviously we have to dance for the pleasure of Guru Puja, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. So once all the devotees are dancing in front of Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is telling, dance more, jump. Even though we are jumping nicely, only for the pleasure of Prabhupada and nothing else. And after Bhagavatam class, we sit in Bhagavatam class. Why are we here in Bhagavatam class? Just to serve the Lord. By just doing all these activities later, honoring prasadam also. Not to just satisfy your tongue, but to satisfy Krishna. When I have prasadam, it is offered to the Lord personally. And it is touching the lips of the Lord and coming to it. And it's Maha Prasad of Lord. And when we have that prasadam, honor that prasadam, we'll be purified. And since we are taking only prasadam and nothing else, Krishna will be pleased. So for Krishna's pleasure, I'll honor prasadam. And later engaging in various services, cleaning services, book distribution, preaching, whatever activities we are doing, for the pleasure of the Lord. And evening, Gaur Arati, glorifying Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and their merciful activities, and hearing Bhagavad Gita class, whatever else. The whole life, the whole day, if we can make in this particular way, changing or trying to change our consciousness from personal sense pressure to the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, and then automatically we are in Krishna consciousness. So that is called Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. There is no desire for one's whole self, but only for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. And this is a whole lifetime project. It cannot be done immediately, but we can start implementing slowly and gradually. So by this showing, means basically what we're doing, we're trying to do all this stuff to get the grace of the Lord. And when the Lord is blessed, when we get the blessings of the Lord, when Lord is pleased and blesses us, everything is possible. Everything is possible. We need Krishna Prema. What is the goal of life? Krishna Prema, we chant every day in the morning. But the thing is, how much am I hankering for that? How much am I hankering? So basically that sense gratification tendency, what is there in the heart. So that makes us being envious even of other devotees, other people in this world. The root of enviousness is also the desire of sense gratification. So how to remove this sense gratification, the desire for sense gratification? Intense sadhana. So that's what the solution given by Vamshivadam Prabhu in the Bhakti Vaibhav class. So doing intense sadhana for the pleasure of the Lord. If we daily practice this, finally we'll understand that I am a servant of the Lord and nothing else. And that is the actual goal of life. Understanding I'm servant of the Lord and I have to go back to the Lord. But to have all this, the desire should be there inside. The desire. As we said in FOE class also, as a living entity, we can just only desire and nothing else. And all the things Krishna will manifest according to our desire. But spiritual desire which is there, it's very, very different. Even spiritual desire, for a material desires only Krishna is sanctioning. Why not spiritual desire he will sanction? So when we have that intense desire, oh Lord, I want to attain, I want to render pure devotion service unto you. I don't want to have any motivation in whatever service I'm doing. I just want to please you. And that's it. If I can cultivate this desire, Krishna will manifest for sure. Krishna will manifest. But also he will test. He will also test. He will give for some time. Again he will test. Whether really you need something behind doing this devotional service or you really want me. So Krishna will test number of times. And we have to prove to Krishna. No Krishna, I want to render service to you. I don't want any other material stuffs. Whatever is there. So if we can do this daily, slowly, consciously, gradually, definitely we are sure to get the mercy of the Lord. So that is what Prabhupada says, never leave ISKCON, because ISKCON is an institution where love of Krishna is guaranteed. So never leave ISKCON and attain, get stuck to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, rules, regulations, whatever is given. If you can just follow Srila Prabhupada, whatever Srila Prabhupada is given, as it is, if you can follow this, then rest assured we are going to attain Krishna Prema in this very life. If sincere and eager to attain that. Finally, everything depends on our desire. removing the desire of sense gratification by cultivating the desire of Krishna consciousness for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So this is the success of our life. Okay, so with this I would like to conclude. If there are any questions, comments.
This analysis is always nice. Firstly, thank you very much, Prabhu, for the nice class. It's nice to repeat oneself again and again what is pure devotional service, remind ourselves, and contemplate and try to implement. So, thank you very much for reminding us. So, all our senses are strong and dangerous. So, for these 5 animals, only one sense is strong, for us, all the 5 are strong. So, it's a very deadly situation. So, we have to be very, very careful. Therefore, we say sadhu savdhan. The devotee has to be very alert in whatever the devotee is doing. And pure devotional service, in simple terms, is no material motive behind any of our devotional service. So that's that is something that we have to meditate on and work only for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. There is nothing more than that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the nice class. So as you mentioned that for everything to advance in devotional service, the most important point is to get the grace of the Lord. And for getting that grace of the Lord, we have to endeavor. We have to endeavor for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, not for our own personal gratification. And then the grace of the Lord can be there. And only by the grace of the Lord can we do anything, can we advance in devotional service. And also another point, as you mentioned, that senses, material senses, they are like serpents. So if we if we get entangled or if we get some material exposure, then it kills the spiritual desire. Then we go back in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for nice class, Prabhuji. So you told so many points that all points are very nice. So one point is like in forest many creatures are there, but all creatures are busy doing sense gratification and fear, and they suffer there. So and our all senses are killing agents for our spiritual life, and we should be very, very cautious on this. And you told that real happiness and what is material happiness, real like sugar cane and bamboo stick. So we are thinking it will be taste, but only we are chewing the bamboo. And you told that Maya is everywhere, and for Pujara Pratishtha, where it is there in us. So to remove this, we need a lot of practice, and again we should practice this Mangalarti, attending Nityam Bhagavat Seva, and most importantly, we need realization. For this realization, we need mercy of the Lord. So to get the mercy of the Lord, we should be actively do our whole day sadhana nicely, and we should try to do everything for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. It is very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the nice class. So the points you mentioned was like the senses are very strong, and if the mind is attached to even any one of the sense objects, then like it will take away the mind from devotional service. And it's and also you mentioned that in this forest, there will be so much of heat, and because we are feeling heat, if we take a snake and wind it around us, then it will kill us. So we should not take the shelter of the senses. Like taking the shelter of senses is like taking shelter of the snake. So we should take the shelter of the Lord. And like desire for sense gratification, the root of enviousness is desire for sense gratification. So how to get rid of this is by doing intense sadhana for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So by their mercy, then we'll be able to advance in Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the nice class. So, the point I like is that like out if you sees me like outside, like I'm engaged 24 hour in a service, but how much conscious I am. So that shows like my mind is here or not. So that thing show like is I'm in temple. Like someone will say like you're full time in temple, but how much I am in temple. So that we have to analyze. I have to analyze that thing. And even but if I stick to this society, so my consciousness in due course of time, consciousness will shift from material to Krishna consciousness. So and also like you nicely told, whatever service we do, our consciousness and servitude will be should be proper. That by the mercy of Guru and Krishna I got this seva, and I should engage in for the I'm doing this for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So these are the few points I like. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much. A nice class, Prabhu. So you told like material senses are killing to our devotional service. Somehow or other we are dragging ourselves, and still also we are not able to. So somehow or other in the trap of material senses. And you told like the what is the supreme dharma? Like supreme dharma is to doing devotional service. Somehow or other we have to be doing the devotional service to pleasure of Guru and Krishna, and also trying to change our consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the nice class. You mentioned that point that in Brahmacharya ashram we have given up all the gross things, but still this subtle sex is there, puja, la, pratishtha, and how to deal with it is with practice and do Nityam Bhagavad Seva, understand the philosophy nicely. And you said that in Bhagavatam again and again this point is repeated that there is nothing in this material world. So even this happiness is just like a drop, means somewhat happiness we are experiencing in Puja La Pratishtha, but it's compared to a drop and in the desert, and we need gallons and gallons of water to satisfy that, and that can be satisfied only by devotional service. So if one thinks like that it's just a drop, why should I waste my time there? I should focus on devotional service only, then it will help a lot. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.